Hi. Hi, Estling. Hi, Sika. Hi, Pingu. Hi, Chicky. Lovely to see you here. Mm-mm-mm-mm. I don't know if I should say thank you or I hate this. I just sat down, just wrapped myself in my duvet, and then you redeem stretch. Oh, stretch yet? In which period of time? Because I have stretched today. Hi, Seal. Hi. Welcome in. Nice to see you. Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, I'm okay. Been productive, though I shouldn't have been today, but yeah, I couldn't relax with knowing I had something to catch up on. Pingu, Pingu, Pingu. So, Pingu, do do you know, or sorry, did you know that the Danish king, when he was in the seals in Denmark, his nickname was actually Pengu. Nice. Well, I can tell you it's not Denmark. It is Norway. Of course, it's Norway. Yeah, Google is just way off. Google wrote, "Who is the penguin general in Denmark?" And when you actually look at the post, it actually says that is Norway. Wow, Google. Wow. You can be a walrus. Yeah, good job, Stevie. What is up with the walrus then? You want a walrus. Interesting. Okay, so you want a female walrus. Yeah, that's interesting. I wasn't assuming anything. Hi, Doc. Welcome in. I hadn't assumed shit before you said it was a her. Yeah. So how am I, Earthling? How am I? Me? I would never do that. Nah. Not in this lifetime. Left. Oh, that's nice. When we're talking about rubbish, are we talking about material things or are we talking about humans? Oh, fair enough. Well, Earthling, if you have cereal, then don't stomp on it, because then you will be a serial killer. Haha. Mwahaha. This is annoying. Why does this hurt? Oh, that's why. Annoying. Hmm. So, has anyone had any good food lately? Yeah. Unfortunately for me, food at the moment is just something I need to have, not really something I want to have. But that's normal for me sometimes. Too much around the head makes me feel that way. But yeah, today is reading time. We gotta enjoy it. Okay. Um, Last time it was the Houses of Healing, as far as I remember. Hmm, That's an okay amount today. But yeah, apparently some people are having a debate today in the book. So we will see who it is who are debating something. I don't know. Maybe? No clue. Chapter 9. The Last Debate. The morning came after the day of battle, and it was fair with light clouds and the wind turning westward. Legolas and Gimli were early abroad, and they begged leave to go up into the city, for they were eager to see Merry and Pippin. "It is good to learn that they are still alive," said Gimli, "for they cost us great pains in our march over Rohan, and I would not have such pain all wasted." Together the elf and the dwarf entered Minas Tirith, and folks saw them pass marveled to see such companions. For Legolas was fair of face beyond the measure of men, and he sang an elven song in a clear voice as he walked in the morning. But Gimli stalked beside him, stroking his beard and staring about him. "There is some good stonework here," he said as he looked at the walls, "but also some that is less good. And the streets could be better contrived. When Aragorn comes into his own, I shall offer him the service of stone rights of the mountain, and we will make this a town to be proud of." "They need more gardens," said Legolas. "The houses are dead, and there is too little here that grows and is glad. If Aragorn comes into his own, the people of the wood shall bring him birds that sing and trees that do not die." At length they came to the Prince Imrahil, and Legolas looked at him and bowed low, for he saw that here indeed was one who had elven blood in his veins. "Hail, Lord," he said. "It is long since the people of Nimrodel left the woodlands of Lorien, and yet still one may see that not all sailed from Amdor's haven west over water." "So it is said in the law of my land," said the prince. "Yet never has one of the fair folk been seen there for years beyond count. And I marvel to see one here now in the midst of sorrow and war. What do you seek?" "I am one of the 9 companions who set out with Mithrandir from Imladris," said Legolas. "And with this dwarf, my friend, I came with the Lord Aragorn. But now we wish to see our friends, Meriadoc and Peregrine, who are in your keeping, we are told. You will find them in the houses of healing, and I will lead you thither," said Imrahil. "It will be enough if you send one to guide us, Lord," said Legolas, "for Aragorn sent this message to you. He does not wish to enter the city again at this time. Yet there is need for the captains to hold council at once, and he prays that you and Eomer of Rohan will come down to his tents as soon as may be. Mithrandir is already there." "Hi, Cheeks. Well, come in." "We will come," said Imrahil, and they parted with courteous words. "That is a fair lord, and a great captain of men," said Legolas. "If Gondor has such men still in these days of fading, great must have been its glory in the days of its rising." "And doubtless the good stonework is the older, and was wrought in the first building," said Gimli. "It is ever so with the things that men begin. There is a frost in the spring, or a blight in summer, and they fail of their promise. Yet seldom do they fail of their seed," said Legolas. "And that will lie in the dust and rot to spring up again in times and places unlooked for. The deeds of men will outlast us, Gimli. Uh... Oh, that's nice. Thank you, Cheeks. with, with that, the servant of the prince came and led them to the houses of healing, and there they found their friends in the garden, and the meeting was a merry one. For a while they walked and talked, rejoicing for a brief space in peace, and rest under the morning high, up in the windy circles of the city. Then Mary Then when Mary became weary, they went and sat upon the wall with the greensward of the houses of healing behind them. And way southward before them was the Anduin, glittering in the sun as it flowed away out of the sight even of Legolas, into the wide flats and green haze of Lebanon and South Ithilien. And now Legolas fell silent, while the others talked, and he looked out against the sun. And as he gazed, he saw white sea birds beating up the river. Look, he cried, gulls! They are flying far inland. A wonder they are to me, and a trouble to my heart. Never in all my life had I met them, until we came to Pelagir. And there I heard them crying in the air as we rode to the battle of ships. Then I stood still, forgetting war in Middle-earth, for their wailing voices spoke to me of the sea. The sea, alas! I have not yet beheld it, but deep in the hearts of all my kindred lies the sea-longing, which is which which it is perilous to stir. Alas for the seagulls! No peace shall I have again on the beach or on the elm. Say not so, said Gimli. There are countless things still to see in Middle-earth, and great works to do. But if all the fair folk take to the havens, it will be a duller world for those who are doomed to stay. Dull and dreary indeed, said Mary. You must not go to the havens, Legolas. There will always be some folk, big or little, and even a few wise dwarfs like Gimli, who need you. At least I hope so. Though I feel somehow that the worst of this war is still to come. How I wish it was all over, and well over. Don't be so gloomy, cried Pippin. The sun is shining, and here we are together for a day or two at least. I want to hear more about you all. Come, Gimli, you and Legolas have mentioned your strange journey with Strider about a dozen times already. Already this morning. But you haven't told me anything about it. Yes, be a to me. Be the bestest clown. Woohoo! To me! Bestest clown. The sun may shine here, said Gimli. But there are memories of that road that I do not wish to recall out of the darkness. Had I known what was before me, I think that not for any friendship would I have taken the path of the dead. The path of the dead? Said Pippin. I heard Aragorn say that, and I wondered what he could mean. Won't you tell us some more? Not willingly, said Gimli, for upon that road I was put to shame. Gimli, Gloin's son, who had deemed himself more tough than men, and harder on the earth than any elf. But neither did I prove, and I was held to the road only by the will of Aragorn. And by the love of him also, said Legolas. For all those who come to know him come to love him after their own fashion, even the cold maiden of the Rohirrim. It was at early morn of the day ere you came there, Mary, that we left Dunharrow, and such a fear was on all the folk that none would look on our going, save the Lady Eowyn, who lies now hurt in the houses below. There was grief at that parting, and I was grieved to behold it. Alas, I had heart only for myself, said Gimli. Nay, I will not speak of that journey. He fell silent, but Pippin and Merry were so eager for news that at last Legolas said, I will tell you enough for your peace, for I felt not the horror, and I feared not the shadows of men, powerless and frail as I deemed them. Swiftly then he told of the haunted road under the mountains, and the dark trust at Erech, and the great ride thence, 90 leagues and 3, to Pelargir on Anduin, 4 days and 4 nights, and on into the 5th we rode from the Black Stone. And lo, in the darkness of Mordor my hope rose. For in that gloom the shadow host seemed to grow stronger and more terrible to look upon. Some I saw riding, some striding, yet all moving with the same great speed. Silent they were, but there was a gleam in their eyes. In the uplands of Lamadon, they overtook our horses and swept round us, and would have passed us by if Aragorn had not forbidden them. At his command they fell back. Even the shades of men are obedient to his will, I thought. They may serve his needs yet. One day of light we rode, and then came the day without dawn. And still we rode on, and Cyril and Ringlow we crossed, and on the 3rd day we came to Linhir, above the mouth of Gildan. And there men of Lamadon contested the fords with fell folk of Umbar and Harad who sailed up the river. But defenders and foes alike gave up the battle and fled when we came, crying out that the king of the dead was upon them. Only Angbor, lord of Lamadon, had the heart to abide us, and Aragorn bade him gather his folk and come behind if they dared. When the grey host had passed, at Pelargir the heir of Isildur will have need of you, he said. Thus we crossed over Gilren, driving the allies of Mordor in rout before us, and then we rested a while. But soon Aragorn arose, saying, Lo, already Minas Tirith is assailed. I fear that it will fall ere we come to its aid. So we mounted again before night had passed, and went on with all the speed that our horses could endure over the plains of Libanon. Legolas paused and sighed, and turning his eyes southward softly he sang. Silver flowed the streams from Sellers to Uru. In the green fields of Lebanon, tall grows the grass there. In the wind from the sea, the white lilies sway, and the golden bells are shaken by mallows and alfrey. In the green fields of Lebanon, in the wind from the sea. Green are those fields in the songs of my people, but they were dark then, grey wastes in the blackness before us, and over the white land, trampling unheeded the grass and the flowers, we hunted our foes through a day and a night, until we came at the bitter end to the great river at last. Then I thought in my heart that we drew near to the sea, for white was the water in the darkness, and seabirds innumerable cried on its shores. Alas for the wailing of the gulls! Did not the lady tell me to beware of them? And now I can't forget them. Oh. For my part, I heeded them not, said Gimli. For we came then at last upon battle in earnest. There at Pelagir lay the main fleet of Umbar, 50 great ships and smaller vessels beyond count. Many of those that we pursued had reached the havens before us, and brought their fear with them, and some of the ships had put off, seeking to escape down the river or to reach the far shore. And many of the smaller craft were ablaze, but the Haradrim, being now driven to the brink, turned at bay, and they were fierce in despair, and they laughed when they looked on us, for they were a great army still. But Aragorn halted and cried with a great voice, Now come, by the black stone I call you. And suddenly the shadow host that had hung back at the last came up like a great tide, sweeping all away before it. Faint cries I heard, and dim horns blowing, and a murmur as of countless far voices. It was like the echo of some forgotten battle in the dark years long ago. Pale swords were drawn, but I know not whether their blades would still bite, for the dead needed no longer any weapons but fear. None would withstand them. To every ship that they came, that was drawn up, and then they passed over the water to those that were anchored, and all the mariners were filled with madness of terror, and leaped overboard, save the slaves chained to their oars. Reckless we rode among our fleeing foes, driving them like leaves, until we came to the shore. And then to each of the great ships that remained Aragorn sent one of the Dunedain, and they comforted the captives that were aboard, and bade them put aside fear and be free. Ere that dark day ended, none of the enemy were left to resist us. All were drowned, or were flying south in the hope to find their own lands upon foot. Strange and wonderful I thought it that the designs of Mordor should be overthrown by such wraiths of fear and darkness. With its own weapons was it worsted. Strange indeed, said Legolas. In that hour I looked on Aragorn and thought how great and terrible a lord he might have become in the strength of his will. He had taken the ring to himself. Not for naught does Mordor fear him. But nobler is his spirit than the understanding of Sauron. For is he not of the children of Lúthien? Nor shall that line fail, though the years may lengthen beyond count. Beyond the eyes of the dwarves are such foretelling, said Gimli. But mighty indeed was Aragorn that day. Lo, all the black fleet was in his hands, and he chose the greatest ship to be his own, and he went up into it. Then he led a great concourse of trumpets taken from the enemy, and the shadow host withdrew to the shore. There they stood silent, hardly to be seen, save for a red gleam in their eyes that caught the glare of the ships that were burning, and Aragorn spoke in a loud voice to the dead man, crying, "Hear now the words of the heir of Isildur. Your oath is fulfilled. Go back and trouble not the valleys ever again. Depart and be at rest." And thereupon the king of the dead stood out before the host and broke his spear and cast it down. Then he bowed low and turned away, and swiftly the whole grey host drew off and vanished like a mist that is driven back by a sudden wind. And it seemed to me that I awoke from a dream. That night we rested while others labored, for there were many captives set free, and many slaves released who had been folk of Gondor taken in raids. And soon also there was a great gathering of men out of Lebanon and the Aether, and Angbor of Lamadon came up with all the horsemen that he could muster. Now that the fear of the dead was removed, they came to aid us and to look on the heir of Isildur, for the rumor of that name had run like fire in the dark. And that is near the end of our tale, for during that evening and night many ships were made ready and manned, and in the morning the fleet set north. Long past it now seems, yet it was but the morn of the day yesterday, the 6th, since we rode from Dunharrow. But still Aragorn was driven by fear that time was too short. It is 40 leagues and 2 from Pelargir to the landings at the Harland, he said. Yet to the Harland we must come tomorrow or fail utterly. The oars were now wielded by 3 men, and manfully they labored. Yet slowly we passed up the great river, for we strove against its stream, and though it is not swift down in the south, we had no help of wind. Heavy would my heart have been for all our victory at the havens if Legolas had not laughed suddenly. "Up with your beard, Durin son," he said, "for thus is it spoken. Oft hope is born when all is forlorn." But what hope he saw from afar he would not tell. When night came it did but deepen the darkness, and our hearts were hot, for away in the north we saw a red glow under the clouds, and Aragorn said, "Minas Tirith is burning." But at midnight hope was indeed born anew. Sea-crafty men of the Aether gazing southward spoke of a change coming with a fresh wind from the sea. Ere long ere day, the masted ships hoisted sail, and our speed grew, until dawn whitened the foam at our prows. And so it was, as you know, that we came in the 3rd hour of the morning with a fair wind, and the sun unveiled, and we unfurled the great standard in the battle. It was a great day and a great hour, whatever may come after. "Follow what may, great deeds are not lessened in worth," said Legolas. great deed was the riding of the paths of the dead, and great it shall remain, though none be left in Gondor to sing of it in the days that are to come. And that may well befall, said Gimli, for the faces of Aragorn and Gandalf are grave. Much I wonder what counsels they are taking in the tents there below. For my part, like Merry, I wish that with our victory the war was now over. Yet whenever it is still to do, I hope to have a part in it. For the honor of the folk of the lonely mountain, and I for the folk of the great wood, said Legolas, and for the love of the Lord of the White Tree. Then the companions fell silent, but a while they sat there in the high place, each busy with his own thoughts, while the captains debated. When the Prince Imrahil had parted from Legolas and Gimli, at once he sent for Eomer, and he went down with him from the city, and they came to the tents of Aragorn, that were set up on the field not far from the place where King Theoden had fallen. And there they took counsel together with Gandalf and Aragorn, and the sons of Elrond. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, it's still better than nothing. Here, there's not a limit to how long you can get unemployment income. It's only the amount which changes. Yeah. But we also pay a lot for that safety net to be there. Yeah, if I pay through my tax with all the other things. In total in Denmark, I think it's with all taxes. I think what I pay percentage wise is about 50%. Yeah, we have two tiers. There's high income and normal income. It might be crazy to some, but we get free healthcare, free schools, free road maintenance. I get student income when I'm in school. I get 2 weeks um, of education a year. Plus, I get unemployment benefits if I should lose a job. Or if I should quit, then I just have to pay the first 3 weeks. I get 6 weeks of vacation each year. Yeah. We get a lot for that. Let's just say it like that. Yeah, 6 weeks of vacation, and 5 of them we can get paid out. So 5 days of them. And we do not get it all in one at once. We get it like we get about 2 days each month. Yeah, I would guess in total each month I pay around 50%. If I go above this tier to the high income tax rate, um, I think it's around 65%. But I think that was above like 80 or 90,000 euro. Uh, just need to see. 600. So if we earn more than 89,200 approximately a year, then we have to pay the higher income tax. And I was actually wrong. Uh, you are paying 60% in taxes at the top at the top tier. Yeah, we have the same here, cheeks. Um, but there is a system here where you can book a time to go see the doctor at the hospital. Um, but of course, it can still vary depending on how much severity there is at the moment in the hospital. Yeah, but in the ER, being sick is not just being sick. Like if you have a cold as an old person, you are prioritized because it's more severe for you than let's say like let's say a broken finger. A broken finger do not hurt, and it's not life threatening. As long as you can breathe, it's not life threatening, and that's what they look for at hospitals. Yeah, that's quite normal. At one point, I had sewn through my finger with a needle at a sewing machine, and my trip to the hospital was 14 hours. It sucked to be waiting, but the reason I was there for 14 hours was because there was, I think it was 10 patients within the first 8 hours, which came in with really life threatening things like stab wounds and the asthma attacks. Uh, I think there was one with an severe allergy reaction as well. So, like in general, that's if it just hurts, you're not a priority. If you're about to die, yeah, then you are a priority. So yeah, there's a lot of things. Well, if you're about to die, then you are a priority. But I have never been that dumb to be a priority. I actually think there's only once which I have been taken to the hospital with the emergency lights on. But yeah, now comes the ads. So see you in 3 minutes. And we are back. Woohoo! Yay! Yes, that is natural selection. But some people decide that they need help. Yeah. So yes. Let's get out of it. My lord, said Gandalf, listen to the words of the steward of Gondor before he died. You may triumph on the fields of the Pelennor for a day, but against the power that has now arisen, there is no victory. I do not bid you despair as he did, but to ponder the truth in these words. The stones of seeing do not lie, and not even the Lord of Barad-dûr can make them do so. He can, maybe, by his will choose what things shall be seen by weaker minds, or cause them to mistake the meaning of what they see. Nonetheless, it cannot be doubted that when Denethor saw great forces arrayed against him in Mordor, and still being gathered, he saw that which is true, which truly is. Hardly was our strength suffice to beat off the first great assault. The next will be greater. This war then is without final hope, as Denethor perceived. Victory cannot be achieved by arms, whether you sit here to endure siege after siege, or march out to be overwhelmed beyond the river. You have only a choice of evils, and prudence would counsel you to strengthen such strong places as you have, and there await the onset, for so shall the time before your end be made a little longer. Then you would have us retreat to Minas Tirith or Dol Amroth, or Dolhan or to Dunharrow, and there sit like children on sand castles, when the tide is flowing, said Imrahil. That would be that would be no new counsel, said Gandalf. Have you not done this and a little more in all the days of Denethor? But no, I said this would be prudent. I do not counsel prudence. I said victory could not be achieved by arms. I still hope for victory, but not by arms. For into the midst of all these policies comes the rings of power, the foundation of Barad-dûr, and the hope of Sauron. Concerning this thing, my lords, you now all know enough for the understanding of our plight, and of Sauron's. If he regains it, your valor is vain, and his victory will be swift and complete. So complete that none can foresee the end of it while this world lasts. If it is destroyed, then he will fall, and his fall will be so low that none can foresee his arising ever again, for he will lose the best part of the strength that was native to him in his beginning, and all that was made or begun with that power will crumble, and he will be maimed forever, becoming a mere spirit of malice that gnaws itself in the shadows, but cannot again grow or take shape. And so a great evil of this world will be removed. Other evils there are that may come, For Sauron is himself but a servant of or, or emissary, but it is not our part to master all the tides of the world, but to do what is in us for the succor of those years wherein we are set, uprooting the evil in the fields that we know, so that those who live after may have clean earth to till. What weather they shall have is not ours to rule. Now Sauron know all this, and he knows that this precious thing which he lost has been found again. But he does not know, but he does not yet know where it is, or so we hope. And therefore he is now in great doubt. For if we have found this thing, there are some among us with great strength enough to wield it. That too he knows. For do I not guess rightly, Aragorn, that you have shown yourself to him in the stone of Orthanc? I did so ere I rode from the Hornburg, answered Aragorn. I deemed that the time was ripe, and that the stone had come to me for just such a purpose. It was then 10 days since the ring-bearer went east from Rauros, and the eye of Sauron, I thought, should be drawn out from his own land. Too seldom has he been challenged since he returned to his tower. Though if I had foreseen how swift would be his onset in answer, maybe I should not have dared to show myself. Fair time was given me to come to your aid. But how is this? Asked Eomer. All is vain, you say. If he has the ring, why should he think it not vain to assail us if we have it? He is not yet sure, said Gandalf, and he has not built up his power by waiting until his enemies are secure, as we have done. Also, we could not learn how to wield the full power all in a day. Indeed, it can be used only by one master alone, not by many, and he will look for a time of strife, ere one of the great among us makes himself master and puts others down, and puts down the others. In that time the ring might aid him, if he was certain. He is watching. He sees much and hears much. His Nazgûl are still abroad. They passed over this field ere the sunrise, though few of the weary and sleeping were aware of them. He studies the signs, the sword that robbed him of his treasure remade, the winds of fortune turning in our favor, and the defeat unlocked for of his first assault, the fall of his great captain. His doubt will be growing, even as we speak here. His eye is now straining towards us, blind almost to all else that is moving. So we must keep it. Therein lies all our hope. This then is my counsel. We have not the ring. In wisdom or great folly it has been sent away to be destroyed, lest it destroyed us. Without it we cannot by force defeat this force. But we must at all cost keep his eye from his true peril. We cannot achieve victory by arms, but by arms we can give the ring bearer his only chance, frail though it be. As Aragorn has begun, so we must go on. We must push Sauron to his last throw. We must call out his hidden strength, so that he shall empty his lands. We must march out to meet him at once. We must make ourselves the bait. Though his jaws should close on us, he will take that bait. In hope and in greed, for he will think that in such rashness he sees the pride of the new ring lord, and he will say, "So, he pushes out his neck too soon and too far. Let him come, and behold, I will have him in a trap, from which he cannot escape. There I will crush him, and what he has taken in his insolence shall be mine again forever." We must walk open-eyed into that trap with courage, but small hope for ourselves. For my lords, it may well prove that we ourselves shall perish utterly in a black battle far from the living lands, so that even if Barad-dûr be thrown down, we shall not live to see a new age. But this, I deem, is our duty, and better so than to perish none the less, as we surely shall, if we sit here, and know if we die that no new age shall be. They were silent for a while. At length Aragorn spoke. "As I have begun, so I will go on. We come now to the very brink, where hope and despair are akin. To waver is to fall. Let none now reject the counsel of Gandalf, whose long labors against Sauron come at last to their test. But for him all would long ago have been lost. None the less, I do not yet claim to command any man. Let others choose as they will." Then said Elrohir, "From the north we came with this purpose, and from Elrond our father we brought this very counsel. We will not turn back. As for myself," said Eomer, "I have little knowledge of these deep matters, but I need it not. This I know, and it is enough, that as my friend Aragorn succored me and my people, so I will aid him when he calls. I will go. As for me," said Imrahil, "the Lord Aragorn I hold to be my liege lord, whether he claim it or no. His wish is to me a command. I will go also. Yet for a while I stand in the place of the steward of Gondor, and it is mine to think first of its people. To prudence some heed must still be given, for we must prepare against all chances, good as well as evil. Now it may be that we shall triumph, and while there is any hope of this, Gondor must be protected. I would not have us return with victory to a city in ruins and a land ravaged behind us. And yet we learn from the Rohirrim that there is an army still unfought upon our northern flank." "That is true," said Gandalf. "I do not counsel you to leave the city all unmanned. Indeed, the force that we lead east need not to be great enough for any assault in earnest upon Mordor, so long as it be great enough to challenge battle, and it must move soon. Therefore I asked the captains, what force could we muster and lead out in 2 days' time, at the latest? And they must be hardy men, that go willingly knowing the peril. All are weary, and very many have wounds, light or grievous," said Eomer, "and we have suffered much loss of our horses, and that is ill to bear. If we must ride soon, then I cannot hope to lead even 2,000, and yet leave as many for the defense of the city. We have not only to reckon with those who fought on this field," said Aragorn. "New strength is on the way from the southern thieves. Now that the coast have been rid, 4,000 are sent marching from Pelargir through Lothar 2 days ago, and Angbor the Fearless rides before them. If we set out in 2 days more, they will draw nigh ere we depart. Moreover, many were bidden to follow me up the river in any craft they would gather, and with this wind they will soon be at hand. Indeed, several ships have already come to the Harland. I judged that we could lead out 7,000 of horse and foot, and yet leave the city in better defense than it was when the assault began. The gate is destroyed, said Imrahil, and where now is the skill to rebuild it and set it up anew? In Erebor, in the kingdom of Dane, there is such skill, said Aragorn. And if all our hopes do not perish, then in time I will send Gimli, Gloin's son, to ask for rights of the mountain. But men are better than gates, and no gate will endure against our enemy if men desert it. This then was the end of the debate of the lords, that they should set forth on the second morning from that day with 7,000, if these might be found, and the great part of this force should be on foot. Because of the evil lands into which they would go, Aragorn should find some 2,000 of those that he had gathered to him in the south, but Imrahil should find 3,500, and Ilma 500 of the Rohirrim who were unhorsed but themselves war-worthy, and he himself should lead 500 of his best riders on horse, and another company of 500 horses there should be, among which should ride the sons of Elrond, with the Dunedain and the knights of Dol Amroth. All told 6,000 foot and 1,000 horse, but the main strength of the Rohirrim that remained horsed and able to fight, some 3,000 under the command of Elfhem, should waylay the west road against the enemy that was in Anorion. And at once swift riders were sent out to gather what news they could northwards and eastwards from Osgiliath, and the road to Minas Morgul. And when they had reckoned up all their strength, and taken thought for the journeys they should make, and the roads they should choose, Imrahil suddenly laughed aloud. Surely, he cried, this is the greatest jest in all the history of Gondor, that we should ride with 7,000 scars of many as the vanguard of its army in the days of its power, to assail the mountains and the impenetrable gate of the Black Land. So might a children threaten a mail-clad knight with a bow of string and green willow. If the Dark Lord knows so much as you say, Mithrandir, will he not rather smile than fear, and with his little finger crush us like a fly that tries to sting him? No, he will try to trap the fly and take the sting, said Gandalf. And there are names among us that are worth more than 1,000 mail-clad knights apiece. No, he will not smile, neither shall we, said Aragorn. If this be jest, then it is too bitter for laughter. Nay, it is the last move in a great jeopardy, and for one side or the other it will bring the end of the game. Then he drew Anduril and held it up glittering in the sun. You shall not be sheathed again until the last battle is fought, he said. Well, that was the last of today. Today. A little short chapter. But it was a nice chapter. Yeah. Gonna go here. Well, I have a suite for all of you to see. So I hope you will all take good care of where we're going. And here we have the messages. You can take the top one if you are a follower and the bottom one if you are a sub. And I hope to see you all next Sunday for the next chapter, which is called The Black Gate Opens. And we have a lot of pages to go through. But it was nice seeing you all here today. And I hope you all will have a great week. So I will see you next Sunday, same time, same book. And have it nice. Bye bye.